Welcome. Good morning to everybody. Today we'll start the spirochetes. This topic has been divided into two parts. Today I will deal with the first part. The next part will be dealt in the subsequent day. So, what are the learning objects in the first part of this spirochetes? In this, you are able to know the very important disease, that is syphilis, which is caused by the Treponema pallidum. So the Treponema pallidum organisms, morphology, cultural characters, and various other features like antigenic properties we will be learning in this class. In addition, what are the various clinical stages of the syphilis and how to go for the laboratory diagnosis of the syphilis and the treatment aspect of the syphilis. All will be dealt today's learning points, in addition to some more non-venereal diseases like Pinta is dealt in the first class of this spirochetes. So now come to the introduction aspect of the spirochetes. So this features implies to almost all the spirochetal organisms. So what are the features of this spirochetal organisms? All the spirochetes which I am going to deal today's and tomorrow's class have the common features. So these includes all these are elongated ones, all are motile ones, and they are flexible bacteria, and they are appears in the form of twisted spirally along the long axis. So that's why the name has given as spirochetes. What the term implies spirochetes? Spira means coil, chete means hair. So they appears in the form of hair-like coils. What are the very other differential features of this spirochetes? So as I have told, they are motile. So how this motility will take place? Usually the flagella is responsible for the motility of the organisms. So this flagella is present outside of the body of the organisms in all the bacteria. But in case of spirochetes, the flagella is present inside the body. So that's why it is called as endoflagella. So this endoflagella is also called as the polar flagella. So it is present in the form of helical protoplasmic cylinder. So this helical protoplasmic cylinder is present in between the outer membrane and cell wall of the bacteria. So that means it present inside the bacteria, not the outside of the bacteria. So the endoflagella is responsible for the motility of the all spirochetal organisms. So now come to the what are the various families in spirochetes. So in the spirochetes, you have got two important families. So the first family is the Spirochetaceae, the second family is the Leptospiraceae. In the first family, Spirochetaceae, you have got different genera. So these genera includes the Spirochetae 1, next one is the Christispira, next one is the Treponema, and the last genera is the Borrelia. Next family is the Leptospiraceae. In this you have got only one genus, that is Leptospira. So the disease caused by this various spirochetes, that is which comes under this genus Treponema, is the syphilis, Pinta and Yas. In case of Borrelia, genera, the disease occurs in the form of relapsing fever, Vincent angina, and Lyme disease. Whereas in case of genus Leptospira, you will see the Peel's disease, where you will see the hepatolenticular damage by these organisms. So now come to the morphological features of this various properties of this Treponema pallidum. So Treponema means it is terran, nema means a thread. So they appear as short, slender spirochetes. They are fine spirals and they are pointed and the ends are rounds. So these are the features of the Treponema. And what are the various diseases you will come across in Treponema? So the diseases includes the venereal syphilis, endemic syphilis, Yas, and Pinta. The venereal syphilis is caused by the Treponema pallidum, and the endemic syphilis is caused by the Treponema endemicum and also Treponema pallidum. The Yas is caused by the Treponema petunae, and the last disease, that is Pinta, is caused by the Treponema keratium. So the only the venereal disease is the syphilis, whereas the other non-venereal disease includes the endemic syphilis, Yas, and Pinta. So now come to the morphological features of the Treponema pallidum, which is a causative agent for the syphilis. So the syphilis has been very much problem before the invention of the penicillin. After the invention of the penicillin, the incidence of this Treponema pallidum infections, that is syphilis, has been declined because of the sensitivity of the penicillin to these organisms. So what are the morphological features of this Treponema pallidum? So they are very thin, delicate spirochetes with tapering ends. So ends are tapered. I will show in the next slide about the morphology in the diagrammatic aspect. How many spirals they are having? They are having the nearly 10 regular spirals. So the spirals are in the form of regular, and they are very sharp. The coils are very sharp and angular. Come to the motility of the Treponema pallidum, they are actively motile. The rotation will take place along the long axis of the organisms. They can exhibit the backward movement and forward movement. One more feature of these organisms here, they can able to flex their entire body. So in this picture, we are able to see the Treponema pallidum. This is a causative agent of the syphilis. So this, you can see the regular spirals. So you can see nearly 10 spirals. The ends are being pointed. So the spirochetes can be seen by dark brown microscope. Their motility is very important. They move along the long axis due to the presence of the endoplasm. They can go forward movement and backward movement and flexion, extension. All different movements are being exhibited by this Treponema pallidum. You can clearly see the picture of this Treponema pallidum in this slide. So now come to this identification of the Treponema pallidum. These organisms can be identified by dark ground microscope, as I have earlier told. They can also identified by the phase contrast microscope. So in the dark ground microscope, you can able to identify the motility of the organisms and their morphology for identification clearly. You can also use the phase contrast microscope for identification of these organisms, and you can go for the different strains for this Treponema pallidum. So the strains used for the identification of the Treponema pallidum includes the silver impregnation techniques. This is the one important technique which can be stained the Treponema pallidum. The two more staining methods includes the Fontana's method of, and the another staining is the Levadetis method. So now come to the cultivation of the Treponema pallidum. So how to cultivate this Treponema pallidum? So the Treponema pallidum is very difficult to culture. So, but two strains can be cultivated. So these two strains includes the Rhetus strain 1. The next strain is the Nicholas strain. So Rhetus strain is nothing but the non-pathogen treponemes, and these strains are used as an antigen in group-specific treponemal tests. So this strain which is cultured is used as an antigen for diagnosis of the antibodies in treponemal infections. So these are group-specific antibodies are detected by using this Rhetus strain. Now come to the Nicholas strain. So this Nicholas strain is used for identification of the specific antigens. So this Nicholas strain is developed. So first it is taken from the syphilitic patient, and these treponemal pallidum organisms are injected into the testis of the rabbit, and these organisms are allowed to pass serial passages, and these strains are maintained in this intratesticular passages in the rabbits, and these strains are used for identification of the specific antigens to detect the antibodies of this syphilis patient. So these are more specific. That means the antigens in Nicholas strains are the specific antigens, and you are detecting the antibodies in the syphilis patients. So this test which is being used, this Nicholas strain acts as a specific test for identification of the syphilis, whereas Rhetus strain used as a group specific, not as a specific test. It is a non-specific test, also called. Now come to the various antigens that is Treponema pallidum. So have divided into three antigens according to the antibodies produced by this Treponema pallidum. So they produce three type of antibodies. The first antibody is the reagent antibody. So this antibody is produced against the infections of the treponemal organisms. This antibody is non-specific antibody, and this antibody is detected in non-specific test for syphilis. The next antibody is the group-specific antibody, which is produced against the group-specific antigen. The last antibody is the species-specific antibody, which is produced against the species-specific antigen. So these are the various antigens and their antibodies. So this is helpful for detection of the syphilis by detecting the either non-specific antibodies or by specific antigen using to detect the specific tests. So now come to the disease syphilis. So how it is transmitted? what are the various features, what are the various stages of the syphilis, you will be knowing in this slide. So the syphilis is a venereal disease. So that means it transmits by sexual contact. The maximum infective period of this syphilis is for the first 2 years. It is very infective during the first 2 years. The incubation period is about 10 to 90 days. So what are the various stages of this syphilis? So you will have got 3 stages, that is the primary stage, the secondary stage and the tertiary stage. So I will deal with the what are the features of the primary stage, secondary stage and tertiary stage in the coming slides. So this primary syphilis, the first appearance of the lesion with this syphilis is the chancre. The term is applied as a chancre. What are the characters of this chancre? Chancre is a painless, relatively avascular, circumscribed, indurated, superficially ulcerated lesion. So this chancre is seen in the external genitalia of the individuals. If it is male, it is seen in the glans penis. If it is female, it is mostly seen in the cervix, or it may be seen in the vulva. So what are the other names for this chancre? So this chancre can be called as heart chancre or Hunterian chancre. So this heart chancre, why you call it as heart chancre? So there is one more chancre. That is, chancre is nothing but the ulcer, which is very soft. The soft chancre or this soft sore or soft ulcer is seen in Haemophilus ducreyi. So that is the organism which causes this soft chancre is the Haemophilus ducreyi, whereas the hard chancre is caused by the Treponema pallidum. So in the primary syphilis, what are the other manifestations you will see? So there is a enlargement of the regional lymph nodes. The characters of these lymph nodes are they are discrete lymph nodes. Their consistency is the rubbery in consistency. They are not tender, so non-tender lymph nodes which are regionally involved. Now next features of this primary chancre is the spirochetes spreads from the site of the lesion to the various parts via the bloodstream and lymph. Ultimately the chancre heals, resulting in the thin scar. So these are the various aspects of the primary syphilis. Now go to the secondary. So in this picture you are able to see the chancre. So it is seen in the glans penis. It is a superficial one and it is hard in nature. You will see the various multiple organisms are seen in this lesion, which are multiplied at the local site. So this chancre can also be present in the other parts of the body. But mostly you will see in the glans penis. Usually it is a single ulcer or chancre or sore. So usually the organisms will multiply in the primary site. So here nowadays the syphilis and HIV infections are coexisting. So the manifestations of the primary ulcer or the chancre differ in HIV patients. So they are not in single, as you see in the routine infections. But in case of HIV infections, you will see multiple chancres, and they are persist. They stay for long period and also heal spontaneously with a period of 3 to 6 weeks. In this diagram, you are able to see the chancres, not the single ulcer. You see the multiple ulcers. So that means the patient is having the HIV. Then only you can see the multiple chancres. Usually you will see single chancre in syphilis, not the multiple. Only in HIV you will see the multiple chancres. Now come to the secondary syphilis. The secondary syphilis, 1 to 3 months after primary lesion heals, the secondary syphilis will set in. So what are the features of the secondary syphilis? So we will see in the form of rashes. The characteristic rash is the roseolar or papular rash, which is seen in the skin. So this can also be seen in the mucous patches or in oropharynx. The patient may develop condylomata at the mucocutaneous junctions. So these are the lesions. In addition to papular rash, patient will have got condylomata at the mucocutaneous junctions. In due course of time, the secondary syphilis is the latent form of syphilis. So where you can able to detect the antibodies to these infections by doing these serological tests. So latency means the dormant stage. So the organisms are in the dormant, but the antibodies are present in the blood. So secondary syphilis can be detected by serological tests. In addition to this, rash and condylomata. So in this picture, you are able to see the rash, papular rash, which is present in the skin. So this is the secondary stage of the syphilis. Now come to the tertiary syphilis. In due course of time, after primary and secondary stages develops, the last stage goes in the form of tertiary syphilis. In this tertiary syphilis, the involvement of the CVS and the involvement of the CNS will takes place. The CVS, that is cardiovascular lesions, appears in the form of aneurysms. These aneurysms are seen in major vessels, especially ascending aorta. And the other cardiovascular lesions includes the chronic granulomatous lesions and meningovascular lesions. One example is the aneurysms, which develop in the tertiary stage. The rupture of the aneurysms will result in sudden death of the individuals. Now come to the other features of the late syphilis. Exhibits in the neurological manifestations. So the neurological manifestations are the tabes dorsalis and general paralysis of the insane. Ultimately, the patient will develop insane condition. So after completing the primary, secondary and the third stage of the syphilis, now one more component of the syphilis, that is congenital syphilis. So the congenital syphilis is transmitted from mother to baby via the transplacental route. So the mother is suffering the syphilis, the spirochete treponema goes to the baby via the placental route. The infection takes during 4th month of the gestation. So the infection takes in the early months. The baby may abort it, or the baby may deliver as a stillborn. If the baby is born alive, the baby exhibits various stigma for identification of the congenital syphilis. What are these various stigma for identification of this congenital syphilis? We will show in the next slide. So here you will see the incisors. So what is the characters of the incisor? Anybody can identify? So you can see the notching of the incisors. So this notching of incisors is known as Hutchinson's teeth, which are characteristic of the congenital syphilis. So notched incisor teeth is the characteristic feature of the congenital syphilis. Now come to the laboratory diagnosis of the syphilis. How to diagnose? What are the specimens how to take? How to go for the diagnosis of the syphilis? The specimens you have to collect are the first at the primary site lesions. Either you have to take the scraping or you have to take the exudate at the primary lesion. So the lesion is highly infectious. You have to take careful while collecting the specimens. So you have to scrape the margins gently and take the specimen, and you have to take the exudate, nothing but the serum that comes from the primary lesion. These two are helpful for identification of the organisms by doing various direct microscopic examination. So next specimen is serum. So you have to collect the patient's blood and separate the serum and do the various serological tests for the presence of the antibodies to the syphilis. So start with the microscopic examination of the wet film. So you have taken the specimen from the chancre or from the local lesion. So first you go for direct microscopic examination. So in direct microscope we go for the dark brown microscope. In this dark brown microscope you can able to see the typical morphological features of the Trypanosoma pallidum. The tapered ends, nearly 10 coils, and their motility, different types of motilities, that is flexion, extension, and rotation movements. All this can be seen in wet film by direct microscopic examination. So you can also go for the fluorescent tests. So this includes the direct fluorescent antibody test. In this direct fluorescent antibody test, what you will do is you can put the antigen on the slide, and this fluorescent tag antibody is treated with this antigens and see for the fluorescence. So direct fluorescent antibody technique. And the other identification things includes the various stainings. These stains include the silver impregnation technique. So the silver impregnation technique is also used for the identification of the organisms under microscopic examination. So here is the picture of the Trypanosoma pallidum, the causatism of the syphilis. In a dark brown microscope, how it exhibits. So you can see these spiral organisms, the tapered ends, and the ends are being pointed, and also you can see the regular coils. So with these features you can able to identify this Treponema pallidum in the dark ground microscopic examinations. You can also go for the stainings like silver impregnation technique and see the same morphological features in the staining also. Now come to the most important diagnostic test, the serological test. Nowadays we are using this serological test for diagnosis of the syphilis. So these tests are known as standard test for syphilis. So this standard test for syphilis includes the reagent antibody test. So reagent antibody test, also known as the non-specific test. So here the antigen we are using for the detection of the antibodies in patients syphilis is not the specific antigen, but it is a non-specific antigen, that is cardiolipin antigen. So this cardiolipin antigen has got property for the attachment to the syphilis antibodies, thereby you can detect the infection of the syphilis. So it is a non-specific antigen, can detect the antibodies of the syphilis. So what are the examples of this non-specific or non-reagent antibody test? The example is the VDRL test. What is VDRL? Abbreviates means venereal disease research laboratory test. So what are the things you are going to do in this test? So in this test you will take the cardiolipin antigen, it's a non-specific antigen, and this is added with the patient's serum after heating. So why you have to heat is you have to remove the non-specific antibodies, and this anti-serum is after treating with this cardiolipin antigens, you will see the flocculations. The formation of the flocculations takes place, and these flocculations can be detected by using the low power microscope. So this VDR test is also called as the slide flocculation test. So the antigen antibody are suspended in the liquid form. So that is called as flocculation test. So the modification of this VDRL test is rapid plasma reagent test. The same as that of VDRL test, but here the antigen, what is the antigen we are using in VDRL test? The cardiolipin antigen. So it is a non-specific antigen. So this antigen is combined with the carbon particles, and this carbon particles combined with the cardiolipin antigen are treated with the patient's serum. If the patient's serum contains the antibodies, you will see the agglutination. So this rapid plasma reagent test is more useful when compared to VDL test, because you can able to see the agglutination by naked eye. So you won't require the low power microscope, and you won't require the heating of the plasma. So these are the three important advantages of the rapid plasma reagent test. One is the you can able to see naked eye. You can able to first thing. Second thing is there is no need of heating the plasma or the serum, and there is no need of the microscope. So you can use either plasma or serum in RPR test. So these are the some more advantages when compared to VDRL test. Nowadays we are adapting this rapid plasma reagent test. So in our lab routinely we are doing this test. So next serological test is the group specific treponemal test. So in this group specific treponemal test, we are using the Reiter's protein complement fixation test. So here we are using the antigen Reiter's protein, so which is derived from the Reiter's strains. So these tests are not nowadays used. These are outdated. The olden days, these Reiter's protein antigen complement fixation tests are used. Nowadays they are not much in use. So next important serological tests are the specific tests. So in the previous slides I told about the VDRL test and RPR test. They are the non-specific test because we are not using the specific antigen. The antigen used in VDRL test and the RPR test is the cardiolipin antigen, not the antigen which is derived from the treponemal organism. That is why it is a non-specific antigen. So here in specific treponemal pallidum test, we are using the specific antigen. That is treponemal pallidum antigen is being used in this test, specific test. So what are the various examples for this specific test? So these are the more sensitive and reliable tests when compared to the other serological tests. So this test includes the first one is the Treponema pallidum immobilization test. It is TPI. Next one is the fluorescent treponemal antibody test. That is FTA. Next one is the fluorescent treponemal antibody absorbent test. Next one is the treponemal pallidum hemagglutination assay. That is the TPHA. And the last one is the enzyme immunoassay, EIA. So start with this treponema pallidum immobilization test. How it is done and how it is the test will take place. In this test, we will take the Nicholas strain, as I have earlier told. The Nicholas strain is this specific strain, so which is derived from the syphilis organisms. These strains are kept in the slide with appropriate temperature and incubator, and these strains are treated with the antibodies of the syphilis. If the syphilis antibodies are present in the patient's blood, so the motility of this treponemal organisms will be lost, so they get immobilized. So that is why the name was given as treponemal pallidum immobilization test. That means the motility of the treponemal organisms are inhibited with the appropriate antibodies are present in the patient's blood. That is syphilis. If the patient is suffering with the syphilis, so the antibodies will immobilize the treponema pallidum organisms. So that is the treponema pallidum immobilization test. Now next one is the fluorescent treponemal antibody test. So here it is a indirect immunofluorescent test. In this test, what we will take on the slide, we will take the treponemal, that is Nicholas strains of the treponemal antigen, which is a specific antigen. To that, we are adding the patient's serum, which contains the syphilis antibodies, will react and they will get together, and they will. After that, we will add the fluorescent tagged antibody. So the first reaction, the antigen antibody reaction will take place. That is the presence of the Nicholas strains of this organisms and to this syphilis antibodies. Then this another antibody which is tagged with the fluorescent will also attach, and this will be detected by fluorescent microscope. That is the process of this fluorescent treponemal antibody test. Now come to the next important fluorescent test, is the treponemal fluorescent antibody absorbent test. So in this test, the first patient serum is absorbed by other means, that is Reiter strains. So the Reiter strains are treated any group specific antibodies are present, they get absorbed. So only the syphilis antibodies are remained in the serum, and these antibodies are treated with this fluorescent antibody and to that of Nicholas stain. So this is the more here the only the difference between the fluorescent and tetramer antibody and the fluorescent absorption test is the first that patient serum is observed unwanted and other than syphilis antibodies are removed, then only the syphilis antibodies are present. These will react with to that of the specific antigen, so that the thing that will take place in the fluorescent treponemal antibody absorbance test. Now come to the treponemal pallidum hemagglutination assay. In this, what we will do is the antigens are tagged to the RBC. So the RBC which are coated with the antigens, that is Nicholas stains of the antigens to the RBC, and these are treated with the patient's serum. The patient's serum contains the antibodies to the syphilis. The agglutination of the RBC will take place. So that is why it is called as treponemal pallidum hemagglutination test. If there is no antibodies in the patient's serum, there won't be any agglutination. That means the patient is not suffering with the syphilis. So now come to the last specific test is the enzyme immunoassay. In this enzyme immunoassay, we are using the enzymes. In this test, you can able to quantitate how much amount of antibodies are present in that particular specimen. So lastly, we will come into the treatment aspect of this syphilis. So syphilis, so prior to the invention of the penicillin, it is very difficult to treat the syphilis patients. Luckily, the penicillin was invented. The penicillin will give good results with this syphilis. So the penicillin will be given in a single injection, 2.4 million units of benzathine penicillin G in early cases. The late cases, the dose is repeated weekly for 3 weeks. So one clinical condition is seen, that is Jarisch-Herxheimer's reaction. So this reaction is seen when the patient is treated with penicillin in either primary or the secondary syphilis. So this reaction exhibits in the form of fever and the exacerbation of the symptoms. So usually this JH reaction is harmless. So this reaction can be managed by rest and aspirin. This ends today's class. So by this time you are able to know what are the various morphological features of these parakeets. The important disease, syphilis, the causative agent is the Treponema pallidum. The Treponema pallidum's morphological features, cultural characters, and various antigens of the Treponema pallidum, and also the syphilis. What are the various manifestations, that is various stages of the syphilis, and the laboratory diagnosis of the syphilis. The most important laboratory diagnosis is the VDRL test. Nowadays we are routinely using, and also RPR test. This is the latest development of the VDRL test. These two are the non-specific tests. These are all the population tests. Even then, still we are using this VDRL and RPR test. And the various treatment aspects of this syphilis so far are learned in this topic. The next class I will deal about the rest of the spirochetes, that is Borrelia and Leptospira. So we'll conclude today's class.